Good morning, students. So today we will discuss about this component of drip irrigation unit. Last time we saw that the introduction of drip irrigation and other subsurface methods, right? So going to the deep in this topic, there are three main components of drip irrigation units, right? First one is a control head, second pipe network, and the last is emitters. So in the control head, it also consists an overhead tank, flow control valve, water measuring device, pressure control device, filters, pumping units, etc. So that the control head is usually located near the source of water, so that the water is easily pumped into this overhead tank. And mainly the size of the overhead tank is generally 3 by 3 by 3 meter, right, which is resting on a raised platform to maintain pressure head of 3 to 5 meter. So, what is the use of filters? So, filters are provided because it is used to remove all the debris, sand, clay in the water, prevent clogging of the emitters, right? So, fertilizer injection system is also provided at the control head. Next is pipe networks. So basically, pipe networks are also called trickle lines. It mainly consists of main line and number of lateral pipes. So the sub main lines are also required between the main lines and the lateral pipes. So the small diameters of pipe is about 10 to 20 mm. It is called trickle lines are provided from lateral pipe to carry the water to the roots of these crops. So basically there is a one trickle line for each row of crops. All the pipes are usually made of PVC material. Next is emitter. Emitters basically are provided on the each trickle line at the spacing depends on at the such suitable spacing, which is mainly depends on the type of crop and soil condition. So this device this emitter has a very low flow rate, right, is usually 1 to 10 liters per hour, right. So the advantages is that water requirement is less, say 40 to 70% of water when compared with this all conventional methods. Evaporation losses are quite low. Deep percolation losses are entirely eliminated. Labor cost is less because there is no fill channels, right. Furrows are required to be constructed. Water logging is avoided. Drip irrigation is generally suitable for small trees and widely spaced plants, and also irrigation of the fruit plants. The problem related to the weeds and soil crusting are also eliminated, and the problem related with fungus and insect disease can be considerably controlled by this method. It is also suitable for arid regions where water is limited. Over irrigation is avoided. Soil erosion problem is normally occurs in the surface irrigations are eliminated. In drip irrigation, all the land area is effectively utilized as there is no wastages of land for the preparation of leaves, bunds, ditches, field channels, etc. So, as the leveling of the land is not required, it can used for an topography. So, basically, in this method, soil nutrients are preserved because reduction deep percolation losses. The drip irrigation can also be used when the water is saline. As the water is applied through emitters, the salts move to out edge of the wetted zone. Hence, the water near the root zone is less saline. So, move to this disadvantages is initial cost of various components such as pumping unit, filters, pipelines, nozzles, etc. is a very high. So, emitter nozzle holes are very small, is about 0.5 to 1 mm dia, as they are frequently clogged by clays and silt particle, resulting in a reduction of the flow. So, these are the advantages. Due to change in the crops, may result in a frequent replacement of trickle lines, right. This method is not suitable for closely planted crops such as wheat. During the high winds, plants may topple due to shadow root theft. If the irrigation water is saline, dissolved salts are deposited near the edge of the wetted zone. Thus, the periodical flushing is required for which water has to be applied by the surface irrigation. Now, going next, comparison between drip irrigation and sprinkler irrigation, right? So, in sprinkler irrigation, low water requirement, which is 65% of required in surface irrigation, while in that compared to drip irrigation, 20 to 30% require water requirement in surface irrigation. In sprinkler, higher evaporation losses. In drip irrigation, evaporation losses are negligible. Sprinkler is suitable for all type of soils, including highly permeable soils, where drip irrigation suitable for all type of soils, including less permeable soil. Soil erosion is controlled in sprinkler irrigation, and there is no soil erosion in drip irrigation. Uh, Sprinkler irrigation is seriously affected by windy conditions, uh, wherever drip irrigation is not affected by windy conditions. Entire surface area is weighted in sprinkler. Least surface area near roots are weighted in drip irrigation. Temperature is reduced, resulting in a long crop period in sprinkler irrigation, while in drip, surface temperature is kept high, resulting in reducing crop period. Pipes used are high pressure and expensive in a sprinkler irrigation, and in drip, pipes used are low pressure and cheaper. Require risers of required height and spacing in sprinkler, while in drip irrigation, no needs of risers. A sprinkler has movable parts, while drip irrigation is free. Drip technique is free from any movable components. So comparatively slower rate of crop growth and seed germination in sprinkler irrigation, while higher rate of crop growth and quicker seed germination in drip irrigation. Weed and pest controls and disease are less in sprinkler, while weed, pest, insects are troubles are at least in a drip irrigation, right? Bite sprays application especially suitable for teas, coffee gardens in sprinkler irrigation, and drip irrigation is suitable for plants at some spacing as vegetables. Sprinkler is localized application of fertilizer that is absent, while in drip, localized application of fertilizer. No land leveling is required both in sprinkler and drip irrigation. Sprinkler has a lower water application efficiency, which is 65 to 75%, 70%. In drip irrigation, higher water application efficiency 90%. High initial cost and higher charges in sprinkler irrigation, while in drip irrigation, low initial cost and operation cost. Next is the suitability of drip irrigation. So drip irrigation is suitable for almost all the row crops and orchards. It is also adaptable for all type of soils and even to highly sloping terrain. So, which are the crops which can be raised or which is not? So, row crops like tomato, chili, brinjal, radish, cauliflower, ladyfingers, sugarcane, banana, grapes, tobacco, etc. can be grown with deep irrigation. Of course, paddy crops cannot be cultivated with this method since it requires standing water. So, types of soil in a drip irrigation can be adapted to highly permeable soils like sandy soils, sandy loam, gravelly silty clay, or the shallow soils underlain with impermeable strata. Irrigation is applied at a shorter intervals in a sandy soil since its water holding capacity is low. Wetting pattern resulting from drip irrigation in different types of soil. So, in heavy soil, the wetting front advance more in horizontal direction as compared to the spread in vertical direction. In medium soils, loams, the wetting point is two-dimensional. It advances equally in both directions. However, in light soil, such as sands, water travels vertically much faster and the soil acting pattern is elongated. So in this basically drip irrigation system, water application is based on moisture replacement growth in a small area of soil. This requires determining the wetted area, wetting pattern, and horizontal and vertical soil moisture movements in the soil. So the values of water requirement, consumptive use, and frequency of irrigation are adjusted accordingly. So next is surface and subsurface drip irrigation system. Based on location of drip laterals with respect to the depth installation, drip irrigation system can be classified into two groups. First one is the surface drip irrigation, and the second one is subsurface drip irrigation. So in surface drip irrigation, drippers and lateral lines are laid on the land surface. So these are the conventional drip irrigation systems in India and many developing countries. Surface drip irrigation systems are more prevalent than subsurface systems. So advantages is that it is easy to install and the cleaning of emitters and laterals can be done manually by the farmers. Next is subsurface irrigation system. So the drippers and lateral lines are laid below the ground level within the root of the crop. Depth of installation of subsurface laterals usually ranges from 20 to 60 centimeter. Mains and submains lines are laid underground at the depth below 60 cm to avoid any damage due to lateral pressure. Spacing of laterals ranges from 0.25 to 5 meter depending upon the spacing of the crops. Advantages Advantages: the pipes remain underground for years, does not interfere with tillage or the other cultivation operations. So systems can be automatically easily. It can be effectively provide water and nutrients for many crops even in areas with a highly seasonable rainfall. Labor savings, evaporation losses are avoided, better water distribution efficiency, formation of soil surface crust is prevented. The main disadvantages of that manual cleaning of drippers and laterals is not feasible. It is necessary to inject chemicals in the system of for declogging. So drippers is an emitter fitted to a drip irrigation laterals to emit water in the form of drops or continuous flow at emitter rates not exceeding 50 liters per hour. Emitter controls the flow from the lateral. uh, Emitter inlet is the point at which water enters the emitter. Emitter outlet is the opening or group of opening is an emitter from which water is emitted to particular location. Dripper function as energy dissipates, reducing the inlet pressure head in the lateral pipeline, which is generally range from zero point 0.3 to 1.5 atmospheres to 0 atmosphere at the outlet. So the pressure loss by an emitter is achieved by a small opening, long passageways, vortex chambers, manual adjustment, and other mechanical devices. So jeepers are generally manufactured from polypropylene or polyethylene material. So mainly jeepers are classified as under three, right? First is the classification based on operating pressure, in which low pressure, which is below 0.8 mm, medium pressure, which is below 2 to 5 meter, high pressure is between 88 to 15 meter. Second is classification based on discharge rate. First one is low discharge, which is 4 liters per hour. Medium discharge, which is between 4 to 10 liters per hour. And the last one is a high discharge, which is 50 liters per hour or more. Third one is a classification based on cross section of a flow area, in which low is below zero point 0.8 mm, between zero point 0.8 to 1.5 mm, which is medium, and wide, which is above 1.5 mm. So there are various types of emitter as per American Society Agricultural Engineers, which is also known as ASAER. First one is emitter, which is designed to dissipate pressure and discharge a small uniform flows in a drip of water at constant discharges. Compensating emitter designed to discharge water at a constant rate over the wide range of operating pressure. Flushing emitter, water is discharged from closely placed perforation of a porous wall along this tubing. Long path emitters employs a long capillary sized tube or channel to dissipate this pressure. Multi-outlet emitter supplies water to two or more points through smaller diameter auxiliary tubing. Orifice emitter employs a series of orifices to dissipate pressure. Vortex emitter employs vortex effect to dissipate pressure. So here we complete this chapter irrigation methods of irrigation, right? So we end this lecture here.